There are some people in this world that they are so captivating, you can listen to them talk about anything all day long. Shannon Sharpe is one of those people. If you haven't watched Shannon Sharpe's appearance on All the Smoke, that's Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson's podcast, please, I urge you to do so immediately. That interview is full of so many gems, man, and a lot of people say they came from nothing. Shannon Sharpe really came from nothing, man. From living in a shotgun house in Glenville, Georgia, with his grandmother, his grandfather, and his siblings. Right? They lived in a house where there was no bathroom. They had to go to the outhouse to use the bathroom. When it rained, the rain would leak and fall on him and his grandmother and grandfather and siblings. Like, Shannon really came from nothing, and he made a hell of a career out of nothing. Like, his career almost didn't happen. Listening to his story, I promise y'all, the way he talks about his grandmother, his brother, like, it makes you want to cry. Like, the genuine love that he really has for his family. Like, his grandmother and his grandfather, he is, like, I promise y'all, Shannon, a lot of people say that they would give their all their salary to certain people. I'd give it all to my mother, to my kids, or my grandmother, so on and so forth. There is not a doubt in my mind. If Shannon played in the NFL and the NFL told him, you don't make a dime, but all this money goes to your grandmother, I promise you, he would have no problem doing it. He would still play and work as hard as he did through his whole career. I swear, like for real, the way he talks about his grandmother and the way he describes the relationship between him and his brother, he doesn't look at his brother as just a brother. He looked at his brother as a father to him. And that was profound to me, man. The amount of humility. We know Shannon likes to play and he likes to joke, and it's all fun loving. But the amount of humility in him, like the amount of I don't know, like the empathy, the transparency in that interview was so dope. And credit to Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson, man. They have a way of like commanding an interview and making it go in a great direction and making guests expound upon things. But we all know Shannon has no problem expounding on things since he's become a talking head on FS1 Undisputed, right? But Shannon's story is just tremendous, man. My man's came from, like, he talked about how he almost went to the military because he didn't have a lot of those big-time scholarship offers that his brother had. His brother, Sterling Sharpe, and Shannon will tell you, was a better football player than him. And Sterling should be in the Hall of Fame. If it wasn't for that neck injury, Sterling would be a sure shot in the Hall of Fame without a problem. Like, his numbers are tremendous through his first 7 years. It's incredible. Catching them darts from Brett Favre. Look at his numbers are incredible. But Shannon talks about how he almost went to the army, to the military, and his brother Sterling convinced him to do otherwise and say, look, check out that scholarship opportunity from Savannah State and see what comes about with that. He goes on to Savannah State and HBCU, and he talks about when he went to, like, how poor they were coming up. Shannon talks about going to school, not with a suitcase. Like, I went to school with a luggage and some little totes and tote bins full of clothes. Shannon went to school with trash bags, little garbage bags like this, full of clothes. Like, that's what he went to school with. His clothes, two grocery bags. That's what he went to college with, 2 grocery bags of his clothes and his belongings. That's what he had. That's all he had, right? And then he talks about when he was at school and he wanted to go and use a community phone to call his grandmother. And he tried to call his grandmother. It was a collect call. And it says, I'd like to make a collect call. It asks on the other end, would you like to accept a collect call from Shannon Sharpe? And his grandmother said, no, I can barely keep the phone on right now as it is, or send them money. And he couldn't talk to his grandmother when he was away from school because it would cost too much money, and she didn't have any money to pay for him to be talking to her all the time. And he talks about how he know that hurt her, but the sacrifices that she laid down for him and his siblings, it was like he'd do anything for her. His grandmother took him and his siblings from Chicago, Illinois, from here, my hometown, and then brought them to Glenville, Georgia, and that's where Shannon grew up, and that's Shannon's hometown. And they were raised from humble beginnings, extreme humble beginnings, and they made something out of nothing. And what came from that was incredible. Shannon talks about he's a 7th round draft pick. Now, for many people don't know, when you're a 7th round pick, a lot of times it's very unlikely that you're going to make the team. Like, it's kind of like, it's a strong possibility you're going to get cut. And I remember he didn't talk about it in this interview, but he talks about how when he first got to, I only got 20 minutes left but I had to just stop and talk about what I saw so far. Just incredible. But I saw in a previous interview where he talked about when he tried out, and basically when he was trying out, he was on somebody on the staff alerted him that he was on the board to be cut. His name was on the board as one of the next cuts to make, right? And the staff member alerted Shannon, and he said, Shannon, I want you to give your all and give your best, man. You know, they have you on the list to get cut. And Shannon talks about, he kind of got a little down about it and said, man, dang, man, I can't let this come to an end like this. And he always looked up to his brother and wanted to be just like his brother. So he said, you know what? I'm going to go out and give my all tomorrow. Tomorrow was the last day for tryouts. The next morning he wakes up and he sees that it's raining outside. Now, anybody that doesn't know, the weather can dictate what type of game you play in football. If it's raining, you're not going to throw the football a lot at all. There's going to be a lot of running. And Shannon, he woke up the next morning and it was raining. He said, oh my God, I'm a receiver. I'm a tight end. I catch the ball. I'm not going to be able to showcase what I can do with this rain going on out here. So he played on special teams, and he played with absolutely everything in him. He gave it 100, 200%. And by the grace of God, his name was off of the cut list. His name was off of the cut list, and he was on the Denver Broncos roster. And from that moment on, Shannon Sharpe's Hall of Fame career started. And he talks about being with John Elway, and John being such a humble, genuine person that Shannon didn't even know some of the routes and some of the plays when he first started. And John Elway would tell him exactly what to do in the huddle, and he would go out and do it. And he said most guys would have gotten annoyed with me, like, who is this rookie dude? Don't know what he's doing. He don't know nothing. I'm not fooling with him, man. He needs to know what he's supposed to know, because John Elway was a superstar quarterback. He was the number 1 overall pick. He was the guy. And he most guys wouldn't have had time to do that to a guy that's a rookie. I don't got time to be messing with no 7th-round pick. But he did. He did just that, and he got Shannon prepared and showed Shannon how to be prepared in that aspect of learning the playbook. But Shannon talks about his dedication, man, and how hard he worked all to get his grandmother out of that house, to get his grandmother in better living conditions, to improve the things the conditions that they came from. Shannon talks about working in fields, making $5 a day. $5 a day. Working in fields, doing hard labor. At 6, 7 years old as a tiny kid. So he says playing in the NFL is a luxury. That ain't the hardest. This the easiest job I ever had, was playing in the NFL. And those type of stories, man, it really does something to you. I promise y'all, Shannon cries talking about his grandmother. The way he adores his grandfather and respected his grandfather so much, and how he stuck to every word he said, but the way he admires his brother and looks at his brother as a father. That speaks volume about the man that Sterling Sharpe is. The role model that Sterling Sharpe was or is for Shannon. He said, I don't make a decision without consulting my brother at all. I talk to my brother about anything. We always talk about I run things by my brother. Most of everything I run by my brother, just to and Shannon is his own man, and he makes his own decisions. But he's I look for my brother sometimes for a lot of guidance in a lot of areas, because Sterling is 3 years older than Shannon, and he's I look to him for a lot of things, man. And it's just a dope interview, man. When you listen to it, you're really going to come back and come back from it and say, man, Shannon Sharpe is a really, really dope dude, man. And he has a very unique, very admirable story. I don't know, man. I promise y'all, that makes me think about my family all the time. The way he talks about his family, it makes me think about mine, and how much I love my people, and how much I'll do anything for them and give them the shirt off my back if I have to, if need be, man. And but the way he talks about his grandmother, Mary Porter, and we all hear him on Undisputed. He used a lot of quotes from his grandmother and his grandfather. And I think Shannon talks about his grandfather passed away when he was 8 years old. His grandfather passed away when he was 8. His grandmother passed away when 2011, I believe, right before he was going into the Hall of Fame, and he cried at that speech. And just remembering everything he did for that woman, Mary Porter. And Shannon talks about everything, man, picking the pecans and all that type of stuff. And like it was just like, man, Shannon is a true country boy, country man, and he overcame a lot of adversity. He talks about, man, football was just that wasn't anything, man. That was just like, okay, if I can overcome what I overcame as a child, all I got to do is play football and keep my body in condition and eat right and go out and exercise and learn the playbook. I'm all for it, man. And one thing that I'll really say, Shannon is a selfless individual. Like he talks about when he was with with the Baltimore Ravens. When he came to Baltimore after his first year, he led the team in receptions and receiving yards and everything. They drafted a tight end, which told him that they will be moving on from him. Shannon played tight end. If they draft another tight end, they're moving on from you. And he said most guys, in that situation, they would try to sabotage the rookie, wouldn't want to help him at all, or turn their back from him or shun him. Because Shannon got sent. He got sent with the runaround and got told the wrong route when he was trying out for the Denver Broncos. So he said, I never did that to Todd Heap. I made sure that Todd Heap was ready when I was in Baltimore for if something happened to me, he would be the next guy up to help our team win. And that speaks volumes about the man that Shannon Sharpe is today. And Shannon is a great dude, man. Truly, he's a blessed individual, humble and selfless. That's what I respect about him. Watch that interview on All the Smoke. Shannon Sharpe.